Yeah, honestly, if there's one investment you could make that would change your life as a PM is find a real user researcher, someone who does that as a trade, and ask them for training. I used to think I was amazing at user interviews. I was saying a lot of smart things and people would concur with a lot of them. And then I had a researcher, Georgie Bottomley. She was at Atlassian and she watched about 20 user interviews and she said, yeah, I know you're very proud of those 50 user interviews you did. Dude, I can tell you, you didn't learn a thing. You're leading all these conversations. You're pushing users in directions that they would not have taken on their own. So you're not really learning anything. And what she did is to basically give me a simple interview script with a lot of silence to follow, which is basically just, ask them to introduce themselves, ask them to describe what they do in their company. And from then on, you don't have an interview script. You rebound on what they say, and you might be poke in one direction if they are going there, but you do not ask leading questions to take them somewhere. And so if you're trying to validate if product managers struggle with dealing with feedback, you don't never bring the word feedback in the conversation. Instead, you let them, you try to see if they go there. And if they go there, then you can start to poke. And the other feedback she gave me is never interrupt a user who's talking. So after I took all her feedback on board and started doing more interviews, and she's like, wow, I'm proud of you. 3 minutes, you didn't say a thing. And there's a few other tips like this, like never give options. It might be uncomfortable, but if you ask someone, for example, what's the first thing that you do in the morning? We're humans, we're trying to make the other person feel comfortable. We're going to give options. What's the first thing you do in the morning? Do you drink coffee? Do you have a shower? Do you brush your teeth? Or when you try to interview users and you're trying to learn from them, the way you'd ask that is, what's the first thing that you do in the morning? And you just sit on your hands and you just wait, and there's an uncomfortable silence and it's just there with you. You feel like it's forever. And then they start talking. But the way they start talking is based on, it's from their perspective. You didn't give them options they can just latch onto and reply yes to, because they just want to please you by default. So things like this are just tips and tricks. I'm not trying to tell you that's exactly what would work for you, more like get training from a researcher. It will drastically change everything that you do afterwards. Otherwise, I can promise you that you are going to have many conversations and it's going to prove what you think is right.
And this document seems really well written. What is the right way to sit down and put a document like this together?
I think mostly, like the way Amos does it is, the text doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the videos. I barely glance at the text. I watch the videos. And what she's doing is to find ways to tell a story by selecting snippets of in the video that progressively ladder up to give me the feeling that I've looked at this via all the different facets. She's got basically 10 minutes to summarize probably about 10 to 15 hours of conversations. And so typically what happens is it's a lot of the work that you do interviewing users, and immediately after those conversations, like finding the highlights that you think like really took you to an aha moment. So I wouldn't focus so much time in the writing of the document, but a lot more time in making sure that as you go through the customer conversations, you tag the moments that gave you this aha moment to see if you can reproduce that with the people you're going to share the video with, right? And making sure that it tells a story when you put all of them together is quite important. So you basically are taking people with you. By the end of reading this document, I was telling Amos, oh, okay, I see. You would like to build this. And she was like, yes. But it was so clear by watching this video. And it might be a trick to convince me, but she was convinced, right? That it was the right thing to do after doing all these interviews. So that's why it should be a no-brainer to the people watching this. It should be really clear. There's a moment when you start those conversations where you just don't know. It can last for a long time. You're navigating and you feel like you're going backwards some days, like some things you were thinking. Some customers went that way, some customers went completely another way. That's completely normal. And my advice here for people is just embrace that messiness. It's fine. It's actually those things that, if you let it sit for a while, eventually you're going to see through. It's like if you take a bottle of water and you put sand in it and you shake everything. That's what we do when we do a lot of user interviews. And then you put it on the table and you wait. And eventually the sand will settle and you're going to see through. It's exactly the type of things that I ask the PMs, like wait till you've hit that clarity. Like you have another conversation and you're like, oh, I feel like I'm having the same conversation again. Good. That's the moment where you actually write this page. It should not take you more than 2-3 hours all up to write that page, basically, because you're already clear.
I hope you enjoyed that short clip. You can check out the full episode here.